Hello everyone, how are you all doing today? It's always a pleasure to be with you. Today I want to ask you a question. When you hear of abuse, what comes to mind? Yes, abuse, abuse. What comes to mind? It is important to know because most people when they hear of abuse, what comes to their mind is physical violence. But there's more to it. Abuse generally is treating someone with disrespect, is treating someone with violence, is treating someone with harm, with cruelty, or with force. So when you are treating somebody in these ways I've mentioned, it means you are abusing the person. And in relationship, it's when one person, if he's a husband, if he's a boyfriend, if he's a partner, is treating the other with cruelty, with violence, with harm, with force, it is an abusive relationship. And interestingly, abusive people who are being abused most often than not don't even know that they are being abused. This is because their partners or the spouses will always make it and insist that what they are doing is right, and therefore the person, the victim, is left confused, not even knowing the situation he or she is in. But it's important for us to know this, that abuse generally is when one person exerts, gains and exerts control, maintains that control over the other person in a negative way. When you have a husband maintaining control consistently over the wife, or you have a wife maintaining control consistently over the husband in a negative way, that is an abusive relationship, or that is an abusive marriage. And there are various forms of abuse. We'll be mentioning that subsequently. So we are saying generally any behavior at all that makes one person exert perpetual control over the other is an abuse, and it is termed an abusive relationship. What is interesting is that abuse does not discriminate. It does not discriminate against age, against gender, against our social class, our status, our educational level, our economic status, the level of exposure. In our workplaces, we have victims of abuse. In our churches, it means it does not discriminate even against religion and against faith, because even in our churches we have perpetrators, or we have abusers there, or we even have the victims of the abuse in those churches. Is it in our age grades? We have them. So it does not discriminate. Nobody is immune to an abuse, and nobody is immune to being an abuser. The person who is being abused is the victim, and the person abusing is the perpetrator or is the abuser. So it is important for us to also know these terms. So when someone exerts control over your feeling, someone wants you to also have control over your thoughts, how you dress, where you go, your phone, your money, anything at all that you are losing control over it to another person, that person is abusing you. It is important for us to know this thing very, very clearly. And in our society, it's becoming so rampant. Sometimes it's even ignorance. Some people don't know that they are being abused. As I earlier said, most victims of abuse sometimes don't even know that they are being abused. I want to state that all abusive relationships are highly toxic and unhealthy, and no one deserves to experience abuse in any capacity, and any type or form of abuse is serious. And that brings me to the forms of abuse. I'll just enumerate them, and in a subsequent video we'll be talking more about them. So the forms of abuse we have is physical abuse, we have sexual abuse, we have emotional abuse, we have financial or material abuse, we have psychological abuse, we have domestic violence as a form of abuse, we have digital violence. In this era of technology and internet, people are using it to abuse people. We have discriminatory or racism. These are all forms of abuse, and they shouldn't be encouraged in any way. So while there are many common aspects of abusive relationship or abuse, every individual relationship or every person going through an abuse, each form of that abuse will look slightly different based on individual perspective. So it is important for us to also know this. Just to end, I want to state that abuse, for us to know that abuse is never the fault of the abused person. Let's get that right. When somebody is being abused, it is never your fault. And if you're an abusive relationship, please note that it is not your fault that you are being abused. Rather, it is the fault and the total responsibility of the abuser or the perpetrator. So let victims stop making themselves feel bad that I caused it or I am the reason why I am being abused. You are not. The abuser or the perpetrator is solely to be held accountable for such abusive relationship. We'll continue this. If you are really interested in this topic of abuse, as we'll be talking on forms of abuse in our next video and subsequent a series on how to live abusive relationship, how to know who is an abuser, why abusers keep abusing people and all that. Just keep watch with this YouTube channel, and we'll bring you such message to educate us and make us also have compassion on people who are being abused. Thank you all for listening, and I hope that you will watch, you will like, you will share, and you will subscribe to our YouTube channel. Thank you and God bless you. Bye.